Luxury was once built on permanence. It was the kind of thing you bought once and never replaced. A Birkin wasn't just a bag, it was a legacy. A Chanel wasn't an accessory, it was identity. The buttery leather, the gleaming hardware, the heritage names that have outlived dynasties. Hermès, Chanel, Dior, they were never meant to be flipped or traded. But in the year 2025, timeless has evolved. It's no longer about owning forever, it's about reselling smart. Because right now, the pre-loved luxury world isn't just a niche, it's a $50 billion global powerhouse, projected to hit $80 billion by 2030. Once a quiet corner of consignment stores and eBay listings, it's now a central force reshaping how we see fashion, wealth, and even identity. But behind the glossy filters and talk of sustainability lies a deeper truth. In this game, not everyone profits equally. A decade ago, second-hand luxury carried quiet shame. Buying used meant you couldn't afford the real thing. People whispered it. Now it's a brag. Celebrities flaunt vintage Hermès. Influencers film unboxings of archival Dior saddles on TikTok. And Gen Z has rewritten the rules entirely. Studies show that over 65% of Gen Z shoppers prefer to buy pre-owned luxury over new. Not just for the price, but for the thrill, the individuality, and the eco-badge it carries. But scratch beneath the aesthetic and you'll find this isn't about saving the planet. It's about fueling a market where used can mean billions. So, let's start with the platforms. Take the RealReal, for example. It likes to call itself a pioneer of circular fashion, rescuing bags from closets and giving them new life. But honestly, its real business model? Commissions. Up to 30% on every sale. When you sell your Chanel classic flap for $10,000, you're pocketing $7,000, and the other $3,000 go straight to corporate profits. The RealReal's revenue in 2024 alone hit $570 million, despite ongoing lawsuits and, well, all those authentication controversies. Then there's Vestiaire Collective, the French rival that recently banned fast fashion entirely. It's framed as a sustainability push, but what it really does is elevate everything else on the platform. If Zara's gone, Hermès looks even more divine. And StockX, which started out as a sneaker hub, now treats Louis Vuitton bags like blue-chip stocks, complete with price graphs, data charts, and market trends. These platforms don't just sell, they control the narrative. They decide what's rare, what's valuable, and what's in demand. They don't own the inventory, yet they profit from every transaction. It's a win-win model for them. In this hierarchy, the house always wins. Then there are the flippers, the sharks of the resale sea. They're not cleaning out closets, they're running micro-empires. They cultivate insider relationships with boutiques, sometimes even gifting sales associates to secure access to limited drops. They buy low, hold, and wait for scarcity to kick in. When Hermès drops fewer Birkins than usual, prices on the secondary market skyrocket, and they cash in. To them, fashion isn't an art form, it's an algorithm. Each bag is a stock, each collection a market cycle. And the rest of us? We're just retail liquidity. You think you scored a one-of-a-kind archival piece online? Chances are, it passed through a professional reseller's spreadsheet first. Now, let's talk about the brands, the supposed victims of resale. Chanel, Hermès, and Dior have all publicly condemned second-hand sales. Chanel has sued the RealReal, claiming counterfeit sales and brand misrepresentation. Hermès enforces its legendary exclusivity policy, forcing clients to buy scarves, shoes, and jewelry before they're even considered for a Birkin. The message is clear. Luxury isn't meant to be accessible. But here's the twist. They secretly benefit from the resale hype. Every time a 20-year-old Chanel flap sells for $12,000 online, it reinforces the idea that Chanel bags hold value. Every time a Birkin sells at auction for triple its retail price, it strengthens the brand's mythology. Analysts even suggest this is why luxury houses like Chanel keep raising prices multiple times a year. A Chanel bag that cost $4,900 in 2014 now sells for nearly $10,800 in 2025. The goal? Narrow the gap between retail and resale. Make buying new feel like an investment, not indulgence. The irony? Resale doesn't weaken these brands. It fuels their power. But where there's money, there's fraud. Counterfeits are the market's shadow empire. Despite promises of expert authentication, investigations revealed the RealReal's part-time authenticators often greenlight items they're not qualified to verify. Super fakes, bags nearly identical to originals, slip through. These aren't your $50 street knockoffs. They're high-end forgeries made in the same factories with near-perfect stitching and holograms. When an $8,000 fake passes as real, it doesn't just dupe a buyer, it destabilizes trust in the entire luxury economy. If the experts can't tell, what chance does anyone else have? And then there's the collector economy, where handbags rival gold and art. The Hermès Birkin, by some metrics, has outperformed the S&P 500 in appreciation. Auction houses like Christie's and Sotheby's now host dedicated handbag sales, with diamond-studded Kellys fetching up to $400,000. These collectors don't flaunt their pieces, they vault them, insured and temperature-controlled. Leather becomes an asset class, not a lifestyle. And this new elite treats resale like Wall Street. They buy, hold, and wait for the next hype wave. So, who really wins here? Platforms win on volume. Every transaction is a payday. Flippers win on scarcity, artificially inflating value. Brands win on perception, proving their products appreciate over time. And the losers? Everyday buyers, the ones scrolling at midnight hoping for a deal. Because that so-called discount Louis Vuitton Neverfull that retailed for $1,200 in 2015 now sells second-hand for $2,500. Not due to rarity, but because retail prices rose and resale followed. It's not value, it's inflation wrapped in prestige. Even the sustainability narrative isn't as pure as it sounds. When Vestiaire banned fast fashion, headlines praised them, but insiders called it what it was: luxury gatekeeping. Cut out the cheap, and everything left looks more valuable. Meanwhile, most of these platforms ship globally, with packaging and logistics that add massive carbon footprints. Resale might feel like rebellion, but often it's just another marketing illusion. And yet, the cultural engine behind it keeps roaring. Gen Z and millennials want luxury, but not on traditional terms. They crave status, but they also crave individuality and eco-conscious validation. They love the feeling that resale is breaking the system, owning Chanel without ever stepping into a Chanel boutique. TikTok and Instagram normalize the hunt, glorifying thrifted Dior and secondhand Prada like trophies. The hashtag sustainable luxury has over 200 million views, and the message is clear. Resale isn't shameful anymore, it's aspirational. Even celebrities have leaned in. Kylie Jenner casually posts her wall of Birkins. Bella Hadid wears archival Jean-Paul Gaultier on red carpets. The new social code says vintage equals taste and pre-owned equals prestige. But it's a prestige that still comes at a price. Because even if the resale market feels democratic, the reality is, it's still built on exclusivity. Luxury has always been about access, and access, no matter the entry point, still costs. The future is already unfolding. Gucci partnered with the RealReal. Balenciaga launched buyback programs. Even Hermès, historically allergic to the idea, has quietly tested resale pilots in Japan. The logic is simple. If they don't control the resale market, it will control them. Analysts predict that within 5 years, most major luxury houses will have official resale channels. The war for your used bag is officially on. But while platforms profit from commissions, brands from mythology, and flippers from scarcity, the everyday consumer remains the one feeding the machine. What's really being sold isn't leather, or craftsmanship, or even sustainability. It's belonging. The illusion that a bag buys entry into a higher tier of culture. And that illusion, whether brand new or pre-owned, will always carry a premium. So, the next time you see that Chanel listed for double retail, or that Birkin breaking auction records, pause. Ask yourself, are you buying empowerment, or just financing the fantasy? Because in this billion-dollar ecosystem, the real profit isn't in owning the bag, it's in knowing the game. This is Real Select, where we strip back the gloss to expose the mechanics, scandals, and power plays that drive the luxury world. Subscribe now, because in this industry, knowledge isn't just power, it's profit.